Hello everyone, my name is Alexa Burrow, I am your NCA coach. Canada is a federal parliamentary democracy and a constitutional monarchy. It is divided into 10 provinces and 3 territories, each of which has its own distinct culture, geography, and history. The federal government is responsible for matters that affect the entire country, while the provincial and territorial governments are responsible for matters that affect their respective regions. The Constitution Act of 1867, also known as the British North America Act, created the federal system of government in Canada. It established the division of powers between the federal and provincial governments, outlining the areas of responsibility for each level of government. The federal government is responsible for a range of issues that affect the entire country, such as defense, foreign policy, criminal law, and immigration. It also collects and distributes taxes, funds social programs such as healthcare and education, and regulates certain industries such as banking and telecommunications. The provincial and territorial governments are responsible for a range of issues that affect their respective regions, such as healthcare, education, natural resources, and local infrastructure. They also have the power to collect and manage taxes within their jurisdictions. The federal government is headed by the Prime Minister, who is the leader of the party with the most seats in the House of Commons. The Prime Minister appoints a cabinet of ministers who are responsible for overseeing specific areas of government. Each province and territory has its own elected government, headed by a premier. Provincial and territorial governments are also structured similarly to the federal government, with a legislative assembly and a cabinet of ministers. In summary, Canada is a federal system of government where power is divided between the federal, provincial, and territorial governments. The federal government is responsible for matters that affect the entire country, while the provincial and territorial governments are responsible for matters that affect their respective regions. Each level of government has its own elected officials and specific areas of responsibility. The distribution of powers in Canada refers to how the authority to govern is divided between the federal government and the provincial and territorial governments. This division of powers is set out in the Canadian Constitution, specifically in sections 91 and 92 of the Constitution Act 1867. The division of powers is based on the principle of federalism, which means that power is shared between 2 levels of government, the federal government and the provincial and territorial governments. Under this system, the federal government has authority over matters that affect the country as a whole, such as national defense, foreign affairs, and interprovincial trade. The provincial and territorial governments, on the other hand, have authority over matters that are more local in nature, such as healthcare, education, and natural resources. Some areas of jurisdiction are shared between the federal government and the provinces, such as agriculture, immigration, and environmental protection. In these cases, both levels of government have authority and must work together to develop and implement policies. The distribution of powers in Canada is not static and has evolved over time through various court decisions and constitutional amendments. However, the basic structure of federalism remains in place, with the federal government and provincial and territorial governments each having their own areas of responsibility. Overall, the distribution of powers in Canada is designed to balance the need for a strong central government with the recognition of the unique needs and priorities of individual provinces and dominion. That's all in this video, thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for more.